So for example, let's say that he was an editor. He specialized in romance novels. That's not what you're doing, but he could give you advice that would maybe help you. He could say, I specialize in romance novels, but I've got something that might help you for your business book. Are you interested? Ask before giving advice. So many times we get in these networking situations and somebody's just going to tell you how to fix everything without really getting to know, one, if you're ready to fix it, or two, if you're interested at all.
Yeah, nobody wants unsolicited advice.
No.
Ever.
So if he did that to you, though, Laurel, he said, I've got experience in the romance novel business, but after editing so many of those books, I think I've got something that might help you. Are you interested? What would you have said?
Sure.
Yeah, everybody's going to say yes, but it puts it more on your terms where you're giving solicited advice and they don't have their defenses up.
Yeah, and offer value. You can offer value through your knowledge. You can offer value through maybe he knew a business editor, book editor that could have been really helpful.
Yeah, an introduction.
For me. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he could have offered value. And when you offer value, you stand out from the crowd because everyone's just saying, oh, I'm a book editor. Oh,
Well, everyone's looking for business for themselves. You go to just a general marketing kind of networking event, and it's all the MLM guys. It's all the guys that are trying to get you in on their vitamins, their pills, their potions, their lotions, the real estate guys that are trying to sell you a house or get referrals. Do you know anybody who might be interested in a house? No, it's too strong, and those guys never, ever succeed.
Yeah, so you can offer value even if it's not through you, even if it's through an introduction. But I like your whole ask before giving advice thing. I had somebody else, I think this was another book editor. This was months ago. They asked how long my book was. And I told them, it was getting pretty lengthy. Right now it's like 85,000 words. And he's like, I really think that you should break that down into like 10 small ebooks. And that's where the money is. I think you should do that. I'm like, you don't even know me. Like, we just met 5 seconds ago and you're trying to tell me how to run my business and how to do my project. That will repel people like nothing else. So I do think you have to ask. I do think you have to get to know people. And I think you have to consider, like, if you're on a first date, don't talk about things you might talk about on the third date. Take it slow. Take it one step at a time.
You're just starting the conversation.
You're just starting the conversation. And on that note, I just want to say one more thing about this guy that I felt just didn't really seal the deal with me following up with him about being my editor, is that I finally asked for his card. He didn't offer me his card or ask to get my card, which is a mistake if you ask me. But I looked at his card, and it was obvious that he had just printed it on his printer. It was all pixely. It was just poorly designed. And that, to me, I'm going to pay somebody a lot of money to edit my book. And somebody who has a business card that's printed on their home printer, that doesn't communicate value. Look at how you're coming across to people.
It's kind of like you see cars on the road sometimes. I know that I'm just harping on the multi-level network marketing guys, but they'll be trying to get you in on whatever pills, potions, and lotions that they're selling by advertising on their car, and they've got like a junky car telling you how you can work from home and make thousands of dollars per week. There's just something about it where our BS detector goes off, and you're like, let's not even have that conversation because you're obviously not doing that well.
That's the thing, is people have a BS detector, and you're setting it off most of the time if you're not doing this stuff right. But something, David, that you do that's so well is following up. So tell me, like, how you follow up with people, because you are like the master at this.
Well, I'll give you an example. If I had advice for you on taking your 85,000 word book and making it into 10 ebooks, and I was really connected to it and I wanted to see you do that, I would, one, ask you if that's okay to share that information. You would, of course, say yes. I would say, I think you should chop it up into 10 books. And here's what I would do afterwards. This answers your question about the follow-up. I would send you an example of somebody who had done that, or an article about somebody who had done that successfully. I might even introduce you to a person, and if I really felt strongly about it, basically follow up to make sure that you were doing that. Now, I don't have a dog in the fight. Usually what I'm trying to do is give you something that's going to be helpful, but that's an example of how I would start the conversation.
But that's something that you have always done really well is when you meet people, whether it's at a workshop, a networking event, a conference, you follow up every time. And I think that's just so impressive. And I think that's what people need to always be doing is this editor, knowing that I'm writing a book, should have followed up with me. But has he? No. Did he ask for my business card? No.
Yeah.
Don't just give someone your business card and expect them to follow up with you. That is not acceptable. You have to get their business card. You have to follow up with them. And I like what you're saying, David. Send them an article. Give them an introduction. Again, that offers the value. And when you offer value, you stand out from the crowd.
And it doesn't have to be right away. I would do that right away if I could, but it could be 6 months from now. Hey, just saw this, thought about you. I do that all the time, even with people that I already know. That's a great way to keep relationships fresh. And I learned that probably from being in the music business. I've seen a lot of musicians. I worked in music licensing for a while, and you've got an opportunity to place a song in film and television, let's say. And if you've got somebody always sending you new stuff or getting your opinion or just having the conversation with you or sending you an interesting article, even something that's not related to what they're doing, they're going to be at the forefront of your mind. And you think, well, hey, maybe I could use this person's music for this license. And the same thing with editing. If this guy's an editor and he's following up with you, and maybe you're not interested, but you've got a friend who needs an editor, you're going to start thinking about him more often.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a side note, Laurel, we need to talk about, I don't know if it's an unwritten rule, but it's a good one to follow. Don't complain. Don't complain. We don't care why you were late. We don't care about traffic. Everybody at an event like that is excited to be there. Don't be the guy who just sucks the energy from the room. Be excited. See the potential in people. See the potential in the event that you're at. And see the potential in yourself. Don't start complaining about all your problems and about your cat and about whatever's going on.
Or about your business.
No, it's not the place for that. You need to have other... You talked about a date, the dating analogy. I think that's great. You wouldn't go on a first date and start complaining.
No. Or if you do, they're not going to call you back.
No, they're not going to call you back. Absolutely not. You can be that person. It's like, well, I wonder why you didn't call me back. Well, anyway, so that's just kind of a side note. I think you got to go in there with a positive attitude. It's not always easy. Certainly, I get really frustrated at some of these events because it's tough to meet person after person and keep your head up. But go in there thinking about that, eat a little something before you go, do whatever you need to do to have that kind of energy.
And take it slow. I mean, never expect to leave any sort of networking event or conference with clients in hand. Just act like it's a first date. Act like you're building the relationship from there. You're not going to start dating. You're not going to get married on day one. Just introduce yourself, make a good first impression, offer value, and then take it from there.
Laurel, today is the final nail in the coffin.
That sounds so negative.
No, that is awful. Speaking of negativity, today's the final day of the red giveaway that we've been doing all month.
I know. It's been such a fun time. What have you thought of it, David?
It's been fantastic. We met a lot of great people, given out a lot of great prizes.
We've had some amazing sponsors, too. I just want to give a shout out to all the sponsors that we've had for this giveaway. It's just been amazing to work with them and spread the word about this.
Yeah, we're a new podcast. We've had a lot of love. We've got a lot more episodes coming up, so we're looking forward to that. And speaking of sponsors, today's is the Audacity to Podcast with Daniel J. Lewis. This guy knows a lot about the technical aspects of podcasting. He knows a lot about marketing a podcast. If you're thinking about getting a podcast going, Daniel J. Lewis is the man to help you. He can take you from A to Z. He's a great guy, very knowledgeable, and you can get that podcast. You can listen to it free at theaudacitytopodcast.com.
Awesome. So what are we giving away today, David?
Got a Blinkist subscription, Laurel. These guys have been really great to us. Blinkist is where we go when we need a summary of a book. We don't have time to read the whole thing, or we just want to kind of check it out before we do read it. Got a Blinkist subscription. I'm going to give that to John Donahue.
John, congratulations. You will love Blinkist. We love Blinkist, and I know you will love it as well.
So John, give us an email at hello@redpodcast.com. We'll get you set up on that. And you just recently got a book. I think it's worth giving away one of these, considering we're talking about first impressions on this podcast. The book is called Networking is Not Working.
Yeah, that's by Derek Coburn. Great, great book, because a lot of networking events do not work, and he gives a different approach to it that does work, and worth reading 100%.
It's worth reading. We'll have it listed in the show notes, which will be at redpodcast.com/34 if you want to link to that. But we got a free copy to give away, and I'm going to give that to Stan Nazelvich.
Stan, congratulations. You will enjoy that book. It gives a lot of details about what you should be doing instead of attending networking events.
So thank you to Daniel J. Lewis of the Audacity to Podcast. Thank you to all our amazing sponsors. And thank you for really supporting us. Here are our initial run of shows for Red Podcast. We've got a lot more. We're available at redpodcast.com, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts, we are there. And Laurel, thank you.
Thanks, David. And stay tuned. If there are any questions that you want to ask us, feel free to go to redpodcast.com and contact us and let us know. We like to answer questions, and also any feedback that you have as well.
So we will see you on the next episode.
You've been listening to Red Podcast, Real Entrepreneur Development. Subscribe today using iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS at redpodcast.com.